Radio Show with your host, Lonnie Clark. We stand together and accept that we now live in a world transformed by Fukushima. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on UCY.TV Radio. We relentlessly engage every ear that listens. We expose and confront the complete lack of accountability for the nuclear industry. Consider social engineering programs who view our bodies, minds, and souls as assets on a balance sheet. We discuss vital current issues, interview activists, and engage our audience in an effort to allow all voices to be heard. The Age of Fission Radio Show creates a venue that all will choose. We encourage our listeners to reclaim their power and their courage to take action and save our planet from the ravages of greed and indifference. Our actions matter. Every voice matters. We remind our listeners that happiness is resistance. Love is greater than fear. Good morning, UCY.TV radio listeners. This is Lonnie Clark with the Age of Fission Radio Show. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you tuning in, sharing our station, and sharing our podcast with your friends and family. Our show is probably one of the few shows that I've heard of that actually gives voice to activists and allows people to really speak their mind and talk about the activism that they're doing. And speak about the efforts that they're making, however drowned out we may feel. We are pushing back, and we are actually making a difference. Today, I do not have a guest again. I think I told you that yesterday. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be on the radio on Friday because Barry Prince has been out in I guess he calls it the bush, looking for mushrooms for his, to earn a living. So he may be back. He told me it was through the month of September. I haven't heard from him. But I have some stories today. Rather than just going on and telling you my opinion, I have some stories today because about the nuclear industry that are out there being reported that people somehow, we never really notice it. Many of you know what the WIP is, the Waste Isolation Processing Plant in Carlsbad, New Mexico, that had an accident on February 14th, I believe 2014. And it had the containers of nuclear waste. Some bureaucratic person thought they were going to do something good and bought organic cat litter to put in with the nuclear waste. Evidently, that's what they do. They've been all these years putting cat litter in with the nuclear sludge to keep it stable. But as it turns out, organic cat litter interacts with the nuclear waste and causes an explosion, and nobody told anyone, and that's what happened. So some bureaucrat bought organic kitty litter. They put it in the containers, and kablooey, New Mexico had a big accident. And it really released, and probably is still releasing because I don't think they were able to 100% seal up a lot of what they did, the americium. But they may have because they're out there working on it. But listen to this story. This is in the Washington Post, dated September 28th. Carlsbad, New Mexico. Managers monitor for rock falls at U.S. nuclear's waste dump, September 28th. Associated Press. Managers at the only underground nuclear waste repository in southeastern New Mexico say monitors have picked up on increasing movement, indicating instability of the walls and ceilings in an area of the facility that has been closed off for more than a year, i.e., the accident, folks. Officials at the waste isolation pilot plant, it's not processing, pilot plant, say there's a potential for falling rock inside one of the disposal rooms. They say rock falls are not uncommon in the area where crews have been unable to perform regular maintenance. A rock fall last November forced a brief evacuation, but there were no injuries or contamination. I'm sort of spitting nails at the way this is written, but we'll talk about that in a minute. The repository began accepting shipments earlier this year after a 3-year shutdown that stemmed from a radiation release. The incident was caused by a chemical reaction inside a container of waste shipped from Los Alamos National Laboratory. Wow, wonder what was in there. So let's go talk about this story, because as I'm reading it, I'm spitting nails. Now, those of you who have been listening to me since the beginning know that I sort of cuss like a sailor when I start talking about nuclear, as you know, but now that we're on kepw.org, they have our RSS feed, and we are regularly on their station. So I'm really going to watch my cussing because they're FCC regulation approved, and Big Brother is definitely watching. So, you know what I tell my clients? Compliance is your friend. Okay, so here we go. Managers at the nation's only underground waste repository in southeastern New Mexico say monitors have picked up on an increasing movement. Monitors have picked up on an increasing movement. Doesn't that mean like earthquakes or something? Indicating the stability of the walls and the ceilings. I wonder if there are earthquakes in that area. I haven't had a chance to double check it, as a matter of fact. Officials say that this is potential falling rock inside one of the disposal rooms. Listen to where they say. They have been unable to perform regular maintenance here. That's just dropped off of our tongues. It's just like, boop. Oh, they haven't been able to perform regular maintenance. What happens to stuff when you don't perform regular maintenance? As we tell all of our 13-year-olds, things fall apart. You have to keep things maintained. So is there any wonder that there's, potential falling rock, because the radiation has been so, this is just so beyond. Why are they not able to perform regular maintenance? Okay, a rock fall last November forced a brief evacuation, but there were no injuries or contamination. So you hear, this is why they can't perform the maintenance. They had an accident. They had another rock fall last November that we didn't really hear about. I probably spoke about it a little bit because it's ongoing. No injuries and no contamination. Okay, listen to the next. The way they did this is like their editor must have told this guy, keep making it smaller. Find a different way to not tell as much information as you can possibly tell. This could be a full-page story and probably a 2-page story. The repository began accepting shipments earlier this year after a nearly 3-year shutdown that stemmed from a radiation release. The incident was caused by a chemical reaction inside a container of waste shipped from Los Alamos National Laboratory. The incident, they're calling it an incident. They're wrapping it up in a nice little bow. The incident. That, I don't know how you feel about that, but they just tell us as little as possible about the most toxic material in the world. We're not talking about if it's questionably the most toxic material in the world. We are talking definitively. You know how we know? When people go near it, they die. If you get a little tiny drop of one of these things, look at that Russian spy. He ate dinner. 3 weeks later, he's in the hospital, looking like he had been through chemotherapy in 3 weeks. It is time, and Rick Perry, let me finish this. I have another story about what our government and this wrecking ball cabinet and these people who have no regard for human life. Seriously, I am really beginning. I called Paul Ryan's office and I called Pete DeFazio's office this morning before I got on the air. He needs to be impeached. The Trump administration is a definite threat to the planet, not just our country. If Rick Perry is able to do what we talk about the waste that China is doing in their country, how disrespectful they are and what they're doing to their environment, we're brought it home, folks. We have to think about what we're allowing to happen in the country and speak out clearly and think clearly, not just call names, not just be angry. We have to take action and call the elected officials and try to pull the reins back on the horse. I mean, we may not be able to stop the train, but maybe we can stop it from hitting the wall. The repository began shipments earlier this year after nearly a 3-year shutdown that stemmed from a radiation release. A radiation release, meaning they cannot open it. What happened was when these walls, when they had the salt dome, they'd been storing the nuclear waste because some brilliant scientists in the 50s and said, hey, we have all these salt domes all around America. We can store our natural gas there. Nothing can penetrate it. Turns out that they didn't really do any scientific studies about the salt interacting and how long it would last, or they ignored it and thought they could move it before it became a catastrophe, or I have no idea what they were thinking. Because when you look at the state of affairs of the nuclear industry, the nuclear waste industry, what they do with their waste, how they manage their things is beyond comprehension. This article allows them to get away with it. And the person writing this article probably wrote a big, long, really great article. And guess what? That's why there's no name on it. It's the Associated Press, meaning they chopped it up at the Washington Post. But getting it in the Washington Post is probably a coup in the United States. I mean, people don't get it. We think that, World War III is going on and, the New World Order is going to take over. Hello? How many people defend Donald Trump with oh my God, call me names and vitriol? The other day, when I said anything about this shooting that just didn't make sense. And it wasn't just anti-Trumpers and pro-Trumpers. It was very interesting mix. But Trump has become an idea. This is interesting because I'm studying this in school, you guys. I mean, I'm super grateful that I get to be on the air and share this information. Because do you know that 18% of the United States has a college education? Is it any wonder that they can sort of manipulate us because we have no real background in the history of what the stuff they've done to us? I mean, when we look at just the nuclear industry, which is what woke me up, and I started doing my own digging and my own research, and to be honest, everybody needs to do their own research. When you read a story like this, if it sticks in your craw, the things they're saying, like caused by a chemical reaction inside the container of waste shipped from Los Alamos National Laboratory. Now, what was in that? You know who you can go to? Dana Durnford covers this. But what happens is a lot of people that cover this, they end up getting either you go one way or the other with nuclear waste. And this is what I've noticed. And I think this is why the establishment here becomes very, the establishment anti-nuke movement, I think they become sort of muted and downtoned. I asked Carl Grossman one time, why Kevin Camps isn't more excited? He's like, oh, he is. He's very excited. It's tempered and it's muted. Or it's exactly the opposite. You get what I'm saying? People get really mad and really angry, but there's this is the frustration you get when complete power is over you. This is what we see in families that are tormented like mine was as a child. You either get overwhelmed by the oppression or you get super angry and intent to fight back. The thing is, we have to remember that just our action of paying attention to it will alter the outside effects. It's super important that people think about these things, which is why I'm reading you this story. So listen to this. The repository began accepting shipments earlier this year when they declared it functioning, and I think I read you guys those stories. After a nearly 3-year shutdown that stemmed from a radiation release, and instead of saying a radiation release, which they did not say, they said it was a minor release and caused no real problem. Go back and look at those stories. The incident was caused by a chemical reaction, which was the kitty litter that I talked about. I guess they have to make it short and sweet so they can get it in there. Okay, so then I found this other thing. This is very interesting. We think we're making a difference in nuclear, but BWXJ joint venture awarded 3-year $928 million contract extension. This is from Business Wire, a Berkshire Hathaway company, which is, what's that guy's name? Berkshire Hathaway, Murdoch. No. He looks like Murdoch. He's the, quote, liberal side of the Murdoch story. I forget his name. Anyways, Berkshire Hathaway. It'll come to me in a minute. Lynchburg, Virginia. BWX Tech. By the way, if anybody wants to give me a call and have a conversation about any of this, the phone number is 718-717-8106. I'd love to talk to you. And let me get back to this story. BWX Technology, it's on the New York Stock Exchange, is BWXT, announced today that its Nuclear Waste Partnership, LLC, joint venture between its subsidiary BWXT Technologies Group, Inc., and lead partner AECOM has been awarded a 3-year extension to its management and operations contract at the U.S. Department of Energy's Waste Isolation Pilot Plant near Carlsbad, New Mexico. Almost $1 trillion a year, $300 million a year over that each year. A 3-year extension. Okay then. With an expected value of approximately $928 million, the modification extends NWP's contract through September 2020, with the potential for an additional 2-year option. The extended contract enhances the focus on safety, provides cost incentives designed to increase value to taxpayers, reward the workforce for safe and efficient operations, and provides greater support for the Carlsbad area community. WIPP is the nation's only facility for deep geological disposal of transuranic radioactive waste as byproducts of nuclear weapons production and disassembly. BWXT is very pleased to continue our work with AECOM at this important DOE facility, said Rex D. Gavetin, BWXT's President and Chief Executive Officer. BWXT's nuclear operations capability is a natural fit for a site like WIPP, and we look forward to applying that experience and expertise in making additional operational and safety enhancements in the next 3 years. Wow. BWXT is a partner in joint ventures serving the DOE and National Nuclear Security Administration at more than a dozen locations around the country, including Savannah River Site, Los Alamos National Laboratory, Paducah Gaseous Diffusion Plant, and Idaho National Laboratory. There you go, our brothers, Kevin Blanche and Glenn Woodford, Paducah and Idaho. Right next to Utah, right there. Wow, man. Los Alamos National Laboratory, Savannah River Site. Wow. Okay, so it goes on for quite a while. It says forward-looking statements from BWXT about BXWT. Let's read that. It's only 8:20. We have a bit of time. Headquartered in Lynchburg, Virginia, BWX Technologies, Inc. is a leading supplier of nuclear components and fuel to the U.S. government, provides technical and management services to support the U.S. government in the operation of complex facilities and environmental remediation activities, and supplies precision manufactured components, services, and fuel for the commercial nuclear power industry. With approximately 6,000 employees, BWXT has 9 major operating sites in the U.S. and Canada. In addition, BWXT joint ventures provide management and operations at more than a dozen U.S. Department of Energy and 2 NASA facilities. Man, I think we hit the jackpot on these people. We should really look into them, man. This is very interesting. I can hear Hope Caster now saying, I bet she knows all about this. Wow. BWXT. Lynchburg variegating in 3 years for one site. Wow. So this is why they don't tell us the truth. This is exactly why. Because the worse it gets, it's kind of like the mafia, right? They make your neighborhood really bad. They keep extracting more and more money out of you. It's to keep you safe. So that's what this whole idea is. They're poisoning us worse and worse, being grotesquely negligent. I wonder if they had a hand in any of these containers. I wonder if it was through them that somebody made this decision. I wonder if they had any hand in any of this. This is really interesting. That's a little bit of research that I hope someone out there undertakes. I'm going to undertake it, but it sure would be nice for someone to say, hey, man, I looked into it. Let's get on the radio and talk about it, because people in this area, this is Lynchburg, Virginia. People in Lynchburg need to be paying attention. This stuff is everywhere. These people are everywhere. Listen to the number of facilities they have. That is just kind of a shock. How many? 9 major operating sites in the U.S. and Canada. 6,000 employees. One company. Wow. And I bet you 2 to 1, they're all great paying jobs. I bet everybody in those places love their jobs, and they're all super worried about one day getting sick or what's going to happen to their kids. But their job is great. The environment is nice. They've got job security. It's going to keep on, and then hopefully their kids won't get cancer. I mean, this is how we do it. So listen to this one. This was a bit of good news, actually. This also came from, I went to the Washington Post, and just because I subscribe to the Washington Post, and also because it is mainstream. So I like to go to the mainstream to find out what you can find. But as you see, like, it does kind of make you spit nails when you look at this Associated Press that they chopped up into a little, 200-word little blurb, but it does give you information. This one, The Wire, this was really interesting. I found that just Googling, and it's called The Business Wire. What is this? Berkshire Hathaway. That's also very mainstream, Berkshire Hathaway, but look at the information you get out of it. Okay, so look, this is it. Norway grants immigration to Israeli nuclear whistleblower. And again, an Associated Press without any names to the story, so I guess I'd have to go to the Associated Press. Copenhagen, Denmark. Israel's nuclear whistleblower Mordecai Vanunu has been granted permission to immigrate to Norway so he can be united with his Norwegian wife. Vanunu's wife, Christian Joachimsen, told Norway's TV2 channel Friday the couple requested family reunification after they wed in May 2015. It wasn't clear when he would relocate. Jokerman says family values have prevailed. Vanunu served 18 years in prison for leaking details and pictures of an illegal Israeli nuclear weapons program to a British newspaper. He sought asylum in Norway after his 2004 release. Israel then banned him from speaking with foreigners and leaving the country, among other restrictions. They had a whistleblower who went to jail. Did you hear this? He went to jail for 18 years, and then they banned him from speaking with foreigners and leaving the country, among other restrictions. Israel neither confirms nor denies its nuclear weapons capability. That's the story. This is just a little tiny blur, but that is good news that he gets to go to Norway. This man has grown old inside Israel. He basically was a tortured, captured person because he blew the whistle and told the world that they had nuclear weapons. So it's there is information out there. Just listen to this one. This is from Chris Mooney and Stephen Moofson, and I think I read this to you. Rick Perry just proposed sweeping new changes to help struggling coal and nuclear power plants. I'm overwhelmed that our country is thinking about A, building up the nuclear arsenal, B, building anything in nuclear, instead of devoting our entire energy to phytoremediation and cleaning up our environment. Think of the industry that could happen. Hathaway Berkshire, who he's run by. You guys, the number is 718-717-8106. Somebody please call in and tell me who that is. Let me Google it. I'm going to Google it because I can't get that out of my head. Hathaway Berkshire. I know that guy's name because I wanted to go get some of his money because he would like me talking about this stuff, except that he's a very big pro-nuke. Yeah. What's his name? Warren Buffett. That's who it is, you guys. Somebody should have sent me some psychological message here. Yeah, well, that's who that is that owns that. And he comes off as he thinks he's a liberal. It's kind of like these Democrats in our Senate. They think they're liberal by demanding gun change right now. Really, I think we should not be having automatic weapons like that in the hands of human beings that are not. I just don't think we should have them. I don't know why we need to have any of that stuff. In the personal, it's one thing to own guns and own guns that can actually defend you if you needed to be defended. But, when would an individual need to have a round of 18 or something that shoots 9 bullets a second, unless you think you're going to be invaded by your neighbors? That level of fear of each other is outrageous. Because there's just certainly not going to be a herd of elephants or a herd of deer charging over you, or rhinoceros. Why would you need to have a bullet a gun that shoots 9 bullets a second in the private industry? It's beyond comprehension, and I do not believe that we're going to have to defend ourselves from our government. That is the idea behind democracy, is that we have a smooth transition of power and that we can actually vote or, have an influence. There's different ways to do it. We can actually change our government, and governments change as they are anyways, no matter what. But it's not, I hear people saying it's, the government, it's, they're trying to tell you what to do, but we are it. Because democracy, anarchy kind of defaults with democracy, because inside democracy, there's people who can say, forget it. And it's much easier. This is why Kim Jong-un is it's complete control in their country. Pinochet proved the dictators are much stronger at building economic profit. That's what this is about. They're lying to us about the nuclear stuff. They're making us sick, and we continue to lie to them. They're starting the wars, and they're saying that we need protection. They're dumping the waste and saying that they're going to help us protect it. San Onofre, be clear, San Onofre nuclear power plant, the information that Southern California Edison was going to put in a gigantic piece of equipment. They were replacing the ring inside there. They intentionally knew they had the wrong piece of equipment. And they didn't really know if they put it in and modified it, which is what their plan was, if it wouldn't cause the plant to have a nuclear meltdown. Highly likely, though, that it would. That was their determination, and they decided to go ahead with it anyways for economic benefit. Because either way, they win. And that was leaked out by some citizen digging into this stuff and finding out about it, and leaked out. And, people with a conscience that work there confirm things. So this is like, these are crimes. These are not small things that this company, WX, whatever their name is, BWXT, what's that acronym stand for? Bwixt? Bwixt? It sounds like an Elmer Fudd company, doesn't it? Bwixt? Oh my gosh. If they had a hand in delivering any of those faulty containers, like, who makes the decision about putting and not finding out? Who does these things? They're going in to help take care of it, and yet they're not telling the truth. They say they're going to go in and help the people of the Carlsbad community. Really? Are they going to start a cancer fund there for them? They're going to open up free medical care for the people in the area. They're going to start a phytoremediation program all over Carlsbad so they can clean up waste from the time that the United States government decided to go plop on their land and build this place. I mean, there's documentaries about this. I forget the title of it, but, the people in Carlsbad have been sick since the government said they had to come in. They forced their way in. They didn't want them in there. It wasn't some city council who voted for them and said, yes, DOE, come put your waste processing plant here. The government said, you take our money or we're coming in anyways and you get nothing, period. This is not an option. So is that democracy, folks? I mean, unless we pay attention to these details and demand better, it cannot stop. It has been taken back in Chile by the people. And Chile is a relatively healthy democracy today. We can actually, and this is the challenge we have as Americans, but I believe as Americans we have the ability, and hopefully we can do it before they kill us all. Because that's their plan, man. They're definitely looking at it. And the more I know about this story, about the Las Vegas shooter, sounds like a spook to me. He knew something, he was in on something, and he was defending himself from somebody. He had cameras, he knew too much information about something, and I don't know. Maybe that's why he killed all those people. He wanted people to look at it and find out who he is. But you know what? This is the reality. When they find out the real story, like they said, the sheriff this morning said, or I heard him say on a news clip, he said, let's just be clear. If I say I don't know something, doesn't mean I don't know it. We're at this investigation where I can't give you details. So that's exactly how they are. Just because they say it ain't so doesn't mean they don't know. That is a reality. I call those crimes against humanity when they don't tell us about the nuclear waste. I really call this a crime against humanity when they don't tell us about chemical spills and the fracking, and to convince people that fracking is basically okay, even though we have building mountains of communities and animals getting sick. Gee whiz, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, folks. Maybe we should do another tapping session. I'll spare you the tapping session again. But I think I am going to do that again sometime soon because I think the tapping is awesome. Let's look at the mass animal deaths right now. See if anything happens. So we'll just see if there was anything added to October 4th and see what they say. For goodness sakes. No, nothing has been added. She hasn't updated it yet. Thousands of birds. We're still in Indonesia. Thousands of birds still dead. Okay, here we go. This is another Washington Post story. Company delays planned closure of Michigan nuclear power plant. Again, and another chopped up story by the Associated Press. You know, this is the thing. They will give it lengthy pages when there's openings and they're going to start something and there's going to be jobs and they want to toot their own horn and they want to sell nuclear. But listen to this story. The planned closure of the Palisades nuclear plant in southwestern Michigan will be delayed for 4 years until the spring of 2022, an energy company said Thursday. The announcement from New Orleans-based Entergy Corp came after the Michigan Public Service Commission said that last week the consumer energy could opt out of buying power from the plant but couldn't recover all of the $172 million requested as part of the deal. Wow. Entergy said consumer energy would have to be able to recover $136.6 million through surcharges to electric customers. We greatly appreciated the continued patience of our employees in the local community in Southwest Michigan throughout this regulatory process. We will continue to focus on the plant's safe and reliable operation, said Charlie Arnone, site vice president and Entergy's top official at Palisades. They said in a statement, the Palisades power plant employs about 600 workers and generates enough electricity to power more than 800,000 homes. The planned 2018 closure had prompted worries about the future of workers at the major employer in the region, but had been welcomed by environmental activists. Covert School Superintendent Bobby Moorhead said people were dancing with excitement when they heard the new date. This means everything to the Covert Public Schools. They're literally half of our budget. Oh my God, you see how they tied that in? Wow, of the Palisades property taxes. But radioactive waste specialist Kevin Camps with Beyond Nuclear, a watchdog group focused on the nuclear power industry, said keeping the plant open until 2022 keeps the Great Lakes region at risk of potential public health and environmental threats. Potential public health. It's actually public health. Forget the potential. It is a public health problem, and those children at those schools are going to be sick and probably are at this very moment. Aren't those people in Michigan sick of having their children with cancer, diabetes? He said the full recovery cost request of electric customers, or even a higher cost, would have been a bargain compared to the catastrophe that could occur if the high-risk Palisades atomic reactor is operated for another 5 perilous years. Exactly, Kevin. Listen to that statement again. He said the full recovery cost requested of electric customers, or even a higher cost, would have been a bargain compared to the catastrophe that would occur if the high-risk Palisades atomic reactor is operated for another 5 perilous years. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission will continue to oversee the plant, and Entergy will continue to make investments to assure safety at the plant, Entergy spokesman Jerry Nappy said in an email. The plant was built by Consumer Entergy, and they did not tell us when, did they? The plant was built by Consumers Energy, which sold it to Entergy in 2007, and they are the slumlords of Entergy. Entergy last announced plans to permanently close Palisades in 2018, but now the company plans to continue an existing power purchase agreement that runs until 2022. Consumers Energy said in a statement that maintains the power purchase agreement is the best path forward. The company said that the company remains committed to delivering affordable, reliable, safe, and clean energy to our customers across Michigan. While federal and state lawmakers from the area welcome the news that the plant will remain open, a top state official warned that local officials must prepare for its eventual closure and not put off, quote, difficult decisions. Making critical decisions today about budgets, resources, and local services will better position township, school, and county officials to weather the impact of the plant's closure will have throughout the area, Valerie Brader, Executive Director of Michigan Agency for Energy, said in a statement. The plant is in Van Buren County, Covert Township, along Lake Michigan. Oh, that's just great. That's what we need, a nuclear waste problem in Lake Michigan that's going to have a meltdown. Consumer Energy is part of the Jackson-based CMS Energy Corp. This is so bad. Not good. That is not a good thing. That is really not a good thing. So what's going to happen when we do have a nuclear meltdown there? What do you think is going to be the response? You think they'll tell us that they're even having a problem there before the Lake Michigan is completely contaminated if the plant doesn't blow up? I mean, at CGS shut down 13 days to maintenance. This other story about maintenance, it's all about maintenance, right? It's not uncommon. They say rocks are not uncommon in an area where crews have been unable to perform regular maintenance. Rocks are falling. That's at the WIP. It's not uncommon to have rocks falling at the isolation project plant where they can't maintain maintenance. And they can't maintain maintenance because the radioactivity is too high, which means it is caving in. And they can't maintain the maintenance. Kind of like what they're doing in Hanford. At Hanford, they knew about what they were doing a long time ago. There was plenty of warning. Those collapsing tunnels, that 1,800-foot collapsing tunnels of plutonium dust blowing across the highways. And they tell us nothing. These are crimes against humanity, folks. And it is in your neighborhood. I don't know who's listening to this, but where you're at. But if you're in the United States, you have nuclear waste that's in your neighborhood. You have nuclear waste in your backyard, in your state. And you have brownfields. You know what brownfields are? Let me just tell you again, so we'll all know what those are. Because the definition of a brownfield, right, means real property, the expansion, redevelopment, and reuse of which may be complicated by the presence of presence or potential presence of hazardous substance, pollutant, or contaminant. So a brownfield is kind of like a fuzzy area. They're not exactly telling you what's there, but they know there's a lot of stuff bad there. It may not be radioactive, but it's types of brownfields grant funding. The thing is, there are tons of them around our country, and they are everywhere. It's not just nuclear waste. Our country, this is why the Trump administration rolling back these regulations, trying to rein in the waste, because unfortunately, our government has just been all about punishment. They haven't really rewarded companies for finding solutions. What they do is they keep everything unregulated, allow these people to just create all this waste, and then they punish them for dumping it somewhere. Like they give them a place to go dump it, but you're not allowed to, you're supposed to keep in it forever, and after a while a corporation is just going to walk away because they don't have the liability. They're not required to. So there's been no incentive to fix it. And they give huge subsidies for expansion, grow. While they're dumping waste, it's like, changing your diaper and never taking the diapers out to the trash or burning them or doing something with them, figuring it out. washing them, using a cloth diaper. I mean, it's the same. It's the same thing. That's what we're living in. Only the waste is killing our species and everything on our planet. It is up to us. This is the point here, and I'm grateful that people are listening to this radio show, because that means you're interested in hearing about these stories, because that's what I do on this radio show. I mean, a couple of days I do honestly just have to vent like I did yesterday because it just becomes too much. But these stories are out here, and we can find them, and we can actively engage. And even if you don't get involved with organizations, call your elected representatives. It does matter. Not calling matters, because it allows the people who are in their face, that's who they listen to. So this is why people protest. This is why people just spontaneously go out to the street, because they understand that there is power in numbers. And unfortunately, in regards to speaking up about chemical and nuclear pollution, people just get worn out. They're sick of talking about it. You know, Erica Dugan has a busy family with children that are sick. She's a friend of our show, and I really appreciate our conversation. She's very thoughtful. She's a trained journalist. Her life has been altered grotesquely by the fracking industry. And she's in the middle of the state, which she loves. They love it there. People love their homes. They're not interested. And frankly, we only have one planet. Where are we going to go? You know, stories are breaking out about, even in faraway places, and it's this whole concept that industry can dump its waste, and there are no consequences to the whole entire species on these planets. It's such a fallacy. We have solutions. I mean, there are things that they are finding. I've had Scott from St. Louis come on our show. He's pretty microphone shy. He doesn't really like to get on, but he is working on, he's the person who came on here a few times about phytoremediation. And he's been absolutely fabulous. He's doing it. He's changed his life. He's gotten engaged. He's actually found businesses that, let me explain this to you. He keeps sending me these things. This is really amazing. Okay, I'm going to read you what he says. And I don't know if I can. I'm going to have to ask him this, because he's working with Titan Water Technology Services out of Mulberry, Florida, that basically they are having testing and doing things that are remediating. He's working on things that will actually remediate the soil. Let me see what this says. They help people generate their own type of electricity with a paddle wheel. This hurricane disaster paddle wheel electricity generator. This is a design for people that are in some type of an emergency like this, where you can actually create your own electricity without being off the grid. It's very easy, very simple. We have solutions. Shaziz came on here and explained in pretty simple terms how we have the energy. It's magnetism. Larry Woods has a product that people can just install into the current system if we don't want to upset the apple cart, and ultimately is independent. I'm sure there's other ideas that are completely wholly suppressed. Why is that? Because it's the mafia. It's the new world order. It's not like some conspiracy. It's totally hilarious. People say, well, you and your conspiracies, and I'm like, look, dude, it just doesn't make sense. A guy blows out 2 windows in a building. He sets up 2 windows, opens up the windows, knocks out with a hammer 2 windows, bolts the door, puts cameras in there. This story is bigger than just some random nut just shooting at people. I think he was shooting at people to get them to look at him. How much more can you get him to look at him? Something is wrong here in Denmark. Just like the brownfields, just like the nuclear waste sites, we're not even being told. So it is up to us to find out and to make changes in our own lives. That we really seriously have a responsibility to make an effort to be healthier and, not engage in, supporting that part of the system. I don't know. The number is 718-717-8106. We have about 10 minutes left if anybody wants to call in and comment on anything I've read. If not, I'm going to keep going because I have other things that we can share about the nuclear industry. Let's do these nuclear alerts. Let me see if I can find them again. I have all these little screens open. Actually, I had to retype it in. I X'd it out and got rid of it. That's no bueno. Oh, their NRC is so good to us. They give us these nuclear alerts. They let us know of potential radiation problems. There's a non-emergency from the Bureau of Radiation Protection, U.S. Steel Corporation, Clarion Works. What was that? A broken, stuck shutter. Somebody said they make them that they break very easily because this is a common thing. And then we have another one of this. People want to tell us how safe nuclear is for medicine. How often do we get this? Every other day we're getting dosage is different than the prescribed dose. You go in there and you have no idea. Nuclear power reactor, Callaway, Missouri. Defects and noncompliance. That's not the kind of thing you want to hear. Oh my God, listen to this. Columbia Generating Station. I only have 10 minutes. Because I'm selfish, I'm going to read the Columbia Generating Station and get back to the potentially uncontrolled radiation release at the Columbia Generating Station. Event date 10/3/1658. Secondary containment inoperable due to unexpected isolation of exhaust valve. On October 3rd, 2017, at 800 PDT, reactor building secondary containment pressure momentarily rose above the technical specification limit. Secondary containment was declared inoperable and TS Action Statement 3.6.4.1.A was entered. The pressure rise was due to an unexpected isolation of an exhaust valve in the reactor building ventilation system during the electrical switchgear inspections. The cause of the closure is still under investigation. The control room operators reopened the reactor building exhaust valve and pressure returned to within limits automatically. Secondary containment was declared operable at 8:02 PDT. So that was a 2-minute freakout. And it is now at 100% operational power. And the one in Callaway, we have still 8 minutes. I'm going to come back to this. This is at 96% current power operation. This is called, this is one with defects and noncompliance in Callaway, Missouri. Initial Part 21 notification, Cameron Model 752B, differential pressure transmitters. This report is made per 10 CFR Part 21.21 D3I on the identification of a defect or failure to comply. By the letter dated August 31, 2017, Westinghouse notified Callaway plant they were unable to complete a 10 CFR 2121A evaluation for a product advisory, which was issued by Cameron Measurement State Systems for concern with the Model 752B transmitter product line. The product advisory identified the potential for instability in the transmitter output signal under certain grounding conditions. Callaway was supplied transmitters that could be affected under Westinghouse part number 8765D64G03, 8765D64G04, 8765D64G05. The Westinghouse notification letter served as the transfer of reporting responsibilities for this concern from Westinghouse to Callaway in accordance with 10 CFR 2121B. The 10 CFR Part 21 evaluation is based on the technical information provided by Westinghouse. The notification letter describes that shifts up to 10 to 20% of instrument scale, 1.6 to 3.2 MA, can be observed within the transmitter output under the grounding conditions such as those introduced by the original equipment manufacturer during testing. Great, thanks for telling us now, jerks. Westinghouse evaluations concluded that such instabilities would be self-revealing within plant applications for which the transmitter output signal was supplied to the Westinghouse 7300 system, assuming the transmitter stanchion was grounded. Not all transmitters within the product line were subject to this concern. On 10/2/2017, Callaway personnel completed the 10 CFR Part 21 evaluation. Of the transmitters identified, only one is currently installed at Callaway, so don't worry about it, folks. In location at BNLT 0930, refueling water storage tank protection, A-level transmitter. No liabilities or oscillations have been observed in this transmitter, but plans are being made to replace the transmitter. Quote, if one of the susceptible transmitters were installed for RCS flow application, low flow reactor trip function, the allowed sensor drift to accommodate changes in transmitter performance would be required to be limited to 1% of instrument span per an 18-month operating period. The observed shift in output of 10 to 20% of instrument span would thus exceed the available margin for this protective function. Therefore, the safety function for this device could not be assured for all transmitter configurations. This condition could create a substantial safety hazard due to the loss of safety function of a basic component which meets the criteria of major degradation of essential safety-related equipment. For the situation at Callaway, no other reporting criteria apply since there is no evidence that the installed transmitter BNLT 0930 is susceptible to the concerns noted in the product advisory. So there you go. So there's no concern. Doesn't that make you feel better? While the power plant is at 90%, and who knows what else they're doing to us. So that is October 4th, 2017. That's the NRC nuclear alerts, folks. So let's see if we can find one for yesterday, since I don't think I went there. Oh my goodness, how much time do we have? I don't think we have any time. We have like a minute left. It's certainly gone fast. So nobody called in again. That's all right, because I can always find things to talk about. We really appreciate you joining us and sharing this information. More than anything, we really appreciate you getting actively engaged in whatever it is that you're doing, because it is going to take all of us. It takes more than a village. It takes a planet. Because the people in power have no regard for human life. Obviously, throwing paper towels that was like the perfect, wasn't it? Just throwing the paper towels into the crowd like he was at Mardi Gras. Like, down to the Mardi Gras. Put your courage feet on, you guys. We will talk to you, I think, maybe on Friday or Monday. Take care. Take some action. It does matter. Your voice matters. Lean into it. We'll talk to you guys later.